Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Amud Yomi Shiur. Baruch Hashem, we have this chus with all the tzareth of Klal Yisrael. We can learn the Torah, protect Klal Yisrael, bring the Mashiach closer. And thank you, everybody, for being with us here. Now, in Daf Samech Amud Beis, we're in the Mishnah. The Shiur is Leilu Nishmas of Imori Menachem Ben Akiva. Refuas Or Rafael Ben Dalia. Refuas Tina Chai Bas Gula Rochel. Tomorrow. Boom. Okay. Wow, Moshe Ben Fegel. Before we start today's shiur, which is the very, very, very bottom of Daf Samech Amud Beis, we are literally one word away. Gabe Hekdesh Nan, we're 3 words away. I want to share with you a thought that I discovered this weekend, if I may call it that way. I think it was on Thursday. We spoke in the previous Mishnah about a woman who says to a man, I'll only be Mekadesh to you if you have 200 zuz. So our dear friend Peretz commented that maybe the reason why it says 200 zuz out of all numbers is because basically the lady wants to know that he's not poor, because a poor person has less than 200 zuz. If a person has 200 zuz, he doesn't have the right to take from tzedakah. That's a Mishnah in Maseches Peah. 200 zuz is a cutoff point between a poor person and a regular person. Then I thought, another idea. 200 zuz is what a man owes his wife as a ksuba. Unless known otherwise. Unless this, unless that. A regular besula, first marriage on her side, she deserves 200 zuz. So maybe that's the idea. Maybe the idea is she wants to know that that particular number is what he owes her for ksuba. And she wants to know that in case they get divorced, in case they, whatever, he dies, he'll get the ksuba. So I researched in, where, in Otzar Chochmah, and apparently Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul, Chacham Ben Zion Abba Shaul, one of the very, very, very great Sephardi poskim and Rosh Yeshivas of the previous generation, today's generation, I remember very, very well. So he says both reasons. Both what we said is written there in the Mishnah. Afterwards, I thought of another idea on top of that. Oh, very good to see you. Welcome. We are in Daf Samech Amud Beis, bottom of the page. So now, okay. Now, basically, if you remember, there's a Mishnah a long time ago in Daf Mem Ches Amud Beis. If a woman says, "I only marry you," Almanas, or he says to her, "Almanas shani oshir," Almanas that I'm rich, on condition that I'm rich. So then the explanation, the application of "I'm rich" was if the man is considered rich and people respect him because of his wealth in his town. So I was wondering, why is that the story? Why do we care? Why is the parameter of rich what people think about him and people respect him? But then I thought that's very good. Now it's very good. Why? Because there are 2 reasons why people want to be rich. First, they want to have the money. Secondly, they want to have the covet. There are 2 reasons. So maybe more reasons, but mainly it's feeling comfortable, and also you feel respected. If you talk mitzad the number, that's over here 200 zuz. Right, 200 zuz. That's one way. Mimela, when we say rich over there, it doesn't talk about money. It talks about the other aspect. Mimela, the Gemara says it's not about money; it's about the covet. Maybe these are 2 mishnahs that complement each other. The Seder. Now, before we continue to the very, very bottom of the page, I would like to just read one line from the Mishnah. Samech Amud Beis in the Mishnah. A person made a condition with a woman. I mekadesh you on condition that I am such a rich guy. I have base kor ofo. I have a base kor of land. So what's a base kor? Base kor is mentioned many, many times in the Gemara. And the source is in the Chumash. And let's read Rashi base kor. Rashi and the Mishnah base kor is Rashi that we have to see inside. A little bit of math, but not terrible. Don't worry. Base kor says Rashi. I'm comforting you that the math is okay. Says Rashi in the Mishnah. Mokam roy lizro lamed sein. A kor is 30 so. A kor is the largest amount out of all amounts of Chazal. Kor is a very large amount. 30 so, a place where you can sow, you can plant 30 so of barley grains. But the question is, well, some people can sow them very tight, very uptight together, and some people more spacious. So how do you decide? So now continues Rashi, וחשבינן לכל שעתיים 100 על 50 כחצר המשכן, which means, yeah, each two same, there's one seah, each seah in the eyes of the Torah is planted, is sown on an area of 50 by 50. And two same, yeah, two same basically is what? Over 100. 50 over 100. It says Rashi ki chatzar hamishkan, right? The chatzar mishkan was, yeah, was like that. Okay? So now, chamishim al chamishim lebeit saw, each saw would be sown 50 by 50. That's another 50 next to it. That's 50 over 100. Now, that's only two same. How many do you need? You need 15, because a kol is 30 same. So if you take this unit of 50 over 100 for two, you need to double that by 15. Yeah, 2 times 15 is 30. And therefore, 1,500 is 50, yeah, times 50, right? In other words, you have 1,500 because 50 over here, and 50 times, 1 second. One more of those. 50, 50, 50 times 100. Yeah, altogether, 1,500 אורך על 50 רויחב. You get the logic? 1,500 over 50. No? Yeah, that 50 remains, and then you have 1,500, 1,500. So altogether, it is 75,000. 75,000 amos. And then Rashi continues, I'm just reading from Rashi. If you square it, if you square that amount of 75,000, then 273 and 5 tefachim al 273 and 5 tefachim. You'll find 273 and a bit over 273 square amos, and that is base core. That's what Rashi says is base core, 273. That's the math Rashi does. Okay, I checked it in a calculator a few days ago. It made perfect sense. Basically, that's the amount of base core. In today's measurement, it comes at very big. I don't know how. It's much larger than I would think. To 17,280 meters. Okay, interesting. Fine. Weiter. Now, Bekitza, that's a base core. That's a famous base core, and soon we're going to see other applications from that. Zog the Gemara. Gabe Hekdesh Tnan. It says about Hekdesh, and now we're starting today's Shiur. It says the following: a makdish sodeh b'shasa yovel. A person who's makdish sodeh, yeah, a person consecrated his field when the yovel is noiheg. When you have the yovel, when the yovel applies, okay, very good. Noisen bezerach chomer seorim 50 shekel kesef. Zerach chomer seorim is what we just spoke about. Yeah, that kind of field. That field is a standard amount. That field of 17,000 meters square, 4 acres, that field, regardless of the value, when you want to redeem the field from Hekdesh, let me just get it very, very clear down to the, yeah, I makdish my soda, wherever the soda is, let's stay in Eretz Yisrael. I have a soda in Eretz Yisrael between Ranan and Netanya, and that field, what do we want to do? Let's say it has that amount. I makdish it to Beis HaMikdash. What a good boy, amazing. Now, Beis HaMikdash have nothing to do with that field. They're not going to bring it as a korban. What do? They have to sell it, meaning pidyon. So now, if you want to be poided the field, you want to redeem the field from Hekdesh, you have a set amount of 50 shkolim. That's not like 50 shekels of today. Yeah, even a regular field in Yerushalayim was 15 shkolim. If you remember the time of Yirmiyahu and Novi, the 50 shkolim, I guess, is a nice amount, regardless to the value of the field. Kach mashma from this Gemara. Yeah, I haven't seen the Sugya and Erchin. The mashma from this Gemara, there's always Gzel Sakosuv, says Rashi, Achas Yofo, Achas Ro, could be an amazing lush pasture, could be some, excuse my language, lousy desert kind of field. Does make a difference. It's always 50 shkolim. Okay, for that amount of area, for that area, the standard amount to be poide. If now another guy wants to buy it off Hekdesh, pay Hekdesh, he has to give 50 shkolim. All very nice, beautiful. Continues the Tana continues. Let's say in the middle of the field somewhere there are basically holes. There are holes there are holes in the field that are 10 tefachim deep. We all know that 10 tefachim is a significant no difference. Well, it's a big law halachically. Why? Because we also know for Reshut HaYochid, Reshut Rabim, 10 tefachim is Reshut Rabim, and Reshut HaYochid, by the way, both. Asar tefachim, the Shechina never went down from the Asar tefachim. Asar tefachim, if the loch is deep enough to be 10 tefachim, alternatively, sloim gvoim asar tefachim, there are sloim, there are boulders, there are rocks, there are 10 tefachim high in the middle of the field, anywhere in the field, ein nimdodin ima. They're not measured together with the field. What does that mean? Tosfos says right away, quoting Rashi, whatever, everybody agrees. So the Ritva, everybody says that although they're a separate entity, they're not nimdad ima, they're not measured with the field, which means the Kedusha applies. In other words, although one would argue and say that's not part of the field, it's a different domain, that we don't say. That we don't say. Just because of the height, the difference in height, it's still part of the field, and the Hekdesh applies to it. If I was makdish my field near Anana, the whole base call, it does include the holes and the rocks, it does. And when you redeem it, you have to pay something for it. We don't know how much. Basically, we're beginning to get the feeling here, and it's going to develop, that measurement, that set amount of 50 per base call does not apply to those holes and those protrusions. In other words, they are being measured differently. Just bear that. We're slowly getting there. Yeah. In other words, let's say the value of the pit is better than the field, right? Is good, amazing, lush. You can have a big pit. 10 tefachim down over 4 ames, 8 ames. You put your animal in there, it's going to get the best nutrition of your life. There's an oil well over there. It's a minefield, not minefield. I meant gold mine, whatever. Or maybe it's very bad. Then you don't go with the standard of the regular standardizing for 50 shkolim. You go with the real balabatish value in that area, which is 10 tefachim deep, or in the area that's 10 tefachim high. And however, pochis mikan, if it is less than 10 tefachim deep or less than 10 tefachim high, then they're measured with the field, meaning the part of the whole big shebang, the part of that global number that the Torah decided. By the way, that's enforced in the Torah. Chamishim shkolim is enforced in the Torah. I'm reading the pasuk, Im isdechu zoso yakdish ish laShem ve'erkecho lefi zaroi zera chomer sorim b'chamishim shekel kesef. Guys, it's doraisa. Just like believing in Hashem, not eating chazir, same thing. You makdish your field of that area, so the set amount is 50. And as long as the difference in height is not too much, it's less than 10 either direction, what do we say then? There are nimdodin ima, and they're part of the party, and then we ignore the real value, and we make the measurement together and the evaluation together with the rest of the field. Seder? That's actually quite simple. The Havinan Bo, Ad Kan is a Loshen Detana. The Havinan Ba, we had a question about it. I sweated over this line. The Ritva explains, although they are not Kodesh with the land, doesn't mean what it means. The Gemara is quite ambiguous. It is Kodesh with the land. But, says the Ritva, let's say you would have sold the field. You hear what I'm saying? Let's say the field would have been sold. We'll see later on that if you're not talking about Hekdesh, but about a sale, if I want to buy your field and I see in the middle of the hole, in the middle of the field, there's a hole, 10 tefachim deep or vice versa, it's not considered part of the sale. We'll see later why. So although the Hekdesh is there, but it makes sense to me that there's some kind of separation, but still, nikdushu b'api nafshayu. In other words, why don't we say that it's Kodesh b'api nafshayu? Why don't we say that it's Kodesh together with the field? In other words, it's very misleading, the words. Nikdushu b'api nafshayu doesn't mean by themselves separately. Let them be part of the field. Why aren't those areas down there, why aren't they part of the field? Rashi says otherwise. Rashi says that what we're dealing with is the slope versus the bottom. I didn't really understand Rashi well enough, so I'm going with the Ritva as usual. The Ritva basically says that the Gemara's question is that Kachu B'api Nafshayu should mean the Hekdesh of those ins and outs, the deep stuff and the high stuff, should be Kodesh together with the rest of the field. Why do they have a separate entity? Why are they separate? Why are they measured separately? The Chiteima, because again, the question is, let me just explain something. When you talk about a sale, the Ritva, that's the extra point that the Ritva explains. If I sell you a field, not Hekdesh, I sold you a field, a huge field. Some parts are really bad, muddy or stam, rusty field, nothing, no good, nothing can happen there. Some are so, and some parts of the field, oasis, amazing. Obviously, we would sit down very carefully, assess each part separately, right? Each one, and then we'll make a price. That's how normal people behave. And then I can also understand that if something is 10 tefachim deep or 10 tefachim, I can say, that's all different entity. I'll give you more, I'll give you less, fine. But if any other term made exeres sakosu by Hekdesh, then we completely disregard the value. We don't care about the big part, the good part or bad part. If so, the 10 tefachim deep, who cares it's 10 tefachim deep? It is part of the field. It's not a different entity. It all belongs to him. So let them also be lumped together with the rest and have one big happy family of 50 shkolim with the whole thing, including the low and the high. Let them also be kodesh. That's a question. Why are they judged separately? Yeah. Right. Very nice. Nafshayu together with the rest. Very nice. Very nice. The chitema, or says, fact, the Gemara is suggesting, maybe you would like to suggest the following. Yeah. The chitema, kama deloy havi base ko loy choshiv. Maybe anything below base ko, anything which is less than base ko, doesn't have that rule of 50 per base ko. And now, if that's a separate entity, you have 10 tefachim deep in the middle of the field. In the southwest corner, you have, 3 meters to the right, you have that hole there. Maybe base ko, and how big is it? I don't know, 5 ames, 10 ames, not a ko. Ko is huge, yeah? Maybe the whole idea of 50 per base ko is only about base ko. Now, it's if you have two fields over here. You have the field of base ko on top, and in the bottom, in the hole, you have what? You have 10 tefachim deep by what? 10 ames, 50 ames. So then what? Maybe then the halacha of 50 doesn't apply. It's just not big enough. Maybe the shiur is only 50. And any field or autonomy in the field that's less than base ko wide doesn't have the rule of 50. And that's so each one has to be judged separately. That would be a great idea. The Raminu, that's not true. It's a very nice idea. It happens to be false. Why? The Raminu, I will challenge you from the following, or challenge this brisa from the other one. Sode matalmud loimar. When the Torah talks to us about, when the Torah tells us about sode, about that field of base ko being sold, being nifda for 50, matalmud loimar sode. The word sode is extra. The Torah could have skipped the word sode and say im me'achuzoso yakdish. The Torah already spoke before about the sode. What do you have to say again? From me'achuzoso, from your assets, you makdish what? We know it's a field. That's all context there. So why does it say field? What's the extra word coming to tell me? The it says in the Torah, as I just read to you a few minutes ago, that the field of zera chomer soirim, of that size, of that over here, 75,000 amas, that field be 50, and that goes for 50 shkolim, and le'el shikdish binyan hazeh. I would have thought, only inyan hazeh, that matter, that size. Minayin lerabois, how do you know, where in the Torah do you see lerabois to include other smaller sizes? Letech is half a core, half the size of this. The chatzi letech is a quarter of the size of that big field. Sell is much smaller. How much is sell? Sell is 1/30, 1/30 part. There was 30th of the whole thing. Talkav is half a sell, even smaller. The chatzi talkav, half a talkav, very very small, half of that. The filo roiva, even a quarter of a saw, it's very small amount of field, a small amount, a quarter of the half. Even a very small field also has the rule of what? Of base ko for 50 in the ratio, right? In the ratio, if I say, that every 100 out of every 100 people, one person is, I don't know what, based on a Sagittarius, whatever. And so then I know 200 people is 2, 300 people, 3 people. It's ratio, it's relativity. In other words, when we talk about what? When we talk about that deal base ko zera chomer sown for 50, It's not all or nothing. With that ratio, you keep measuring up and down the scale, and you can have a very small field also measured for relatively 50. In other words, in a very, very easy way, let's say 1/50th of the whole field of base coat would go for 1 shekel. Yes, clearly. Yeah, obviously, the whole field for 50. If you shrink it to one, what's his name? One saw, one saw, because there are 30. No, actually, no, there are 30. One, whatever, 1/50th of the whole thing. You go for 1 shekel, right? Half, 25 shekels, half of the whole thing. If so, that really gets us stuck. Yeah, Talmud Loimer, Sode Mikol Mokim. The word Sode comes to tell me any kind of field, any size of field would always follow that rule. If so, excuse me. Then why do you tell me over here that if I have a field that has a small mini field inside of it, if you want to be smart with me and say, 10 tefachim, like for Shabbos, for Mishkan, 10 tefachim deep is already different reshus. So what? So what if it's a different reshus? At the end of the day, that small reshus also follows the rule of 50. So do the whole thing for 150 and finished. Yeah, why do you exclude it in any way? So that's a problem. Good. Omar ukva barchama, answers ukva barchama nukimta, which is well explained. Over here in this Tana we say benekoim melei mayim askinan mishum delav bnei zrianinu. Ay. We're not talking here about holes that are nice and arable and workable. We're talking about nekoim. The holes are full of mayim. I think mayim means water. No, they're always full of mayim constantly. They're not workable. They're worth a lot maybe for the water, but they're very different. Yeah, it's not a place where animals graze or you dig out gold or whatever. Mini pools. Well, all right, those, right. Okay, so they are full of water, a whole different use completely. They're not bar zriya. They're not, you can't sow in them. They're not arable. You can't sow inside. And therefore, they are different, meaning now we made a huge step backwards. Really, what? If it's not full of water, it can be 10 tefachim deep. As far as I know, 20 tefachim deep. It's all part of the same party. It's all one big happy family of you measure it per 50 per base co. You get somebody to get the right size, but it remains with the same scale. Every base core, 50 shkolim, have, including the big ones, the big, small, high, and low. Masha'enkin over here is an exception because if it's 10 tefachim deep and full of water, and the water is a very different kind of shimush, and the Torah is hinting to that. It has to be a sode, not any property, a sode. That's not a sode. A swimming pool, a pool, a well, whatever you call it, it's not a sode. It's very good, it's very important, but it's a water source. It's a sprinkler. It's not a sode. 1 second. And the Gemara, maybe it's a nukimta. It's not such a nukimta. Look what the Gemara continues. The Gemara says, Daikanami. What's Daikanami? It's proven also from the Mishnah. The Mishnah seems to be particular with the Lashon saying, the Ktani Dumi, the Slaim Gvoim Shmamina. Very, very nice. What was continuously when we spoke about the deep parts, the holes, those equivalent of the high parts? Why didn't we say hills, moles? Why did we say sloim? Sloim, what's a sela? A rock, a stone. Last time I checked, you can't really sow nice seeds in a stone. There's some grass that grows on it, I'm saying, but mamish a hard stone, a rock. You can't really work on a rock. That shows you just like the upstairs protrusions are what? Are rocks and are not good, they're not agricultural, they're not arable. So to the downstairs one must be were kind of holes that are not workable and they're not a field, and that's why they're not included. Mashenkin and Shlomo very correctly said, and we have to remember, if not for that, if it was nice, let's say you have a nice whatever, you have like some nice little hill, some kind of mole, not mole, I meant to say mound. Tell mound. If you have a mound there, very nice. You have a mound at which you can work. You can start planting from the sides. It's part of the field. Oh, very nice. You okay? Yes. Just summarize. Very nice, because we're ready for the next question. When you have a pool of water that's 10 tefachim deep, You have a stone, a rock, a boulder, 10 tefachim high. Because they're not arable, they're evaluated separately. And you have to pay Hekdesh, whatever they're worth, the real value, not part of the big umbrella of 50. But now that begs the question, Ihochi, line starts the word Shmamina. If so, Ihochi, afilu pochos mikanami. Excuse me. If you're telling me that this is not part of the land, then even if it's less than 10 tefachim either direction, they should also be evaluated separately. Let's have a 9 tefachim. 9 tefachim is not that little, it's almost a meter. Yeah, you have 9 tefachim deep, yeah, with water inside. You have a nice rock, 9 tefachim high. That's quite a protrusion. So maybe that too should not be part of the field and evaluate them separately because the function is different. Answers the Gemara, no. Hanu, if they're that small, they are tofel to the piece of land. Hanu nagani de aramikru, shadra de aramikru. Let me explain. Those are called like a service station for the land. They're part of the land, they're tofel. Just like you don't make a bracha on the, I don't know, cracker with cheese. Let's say the cracker is the main thing, and that's such a good example. You have a cake and your cake with nice strawberries inside, kosher, yeah? The broch is mizoinus, including the strawberry, right? All things together. The strawberries are not a separate entity. Same thing over here. When something is less than 10 tefachim, deep or high, as I kept saying, it's part of the same domain. So what? They're called negani de ara. Negani de ara means they are like the bowls. Bowls is bowl of water, like a bucket. They're like a bucket or a bowl of the land. In other words, the land, it makes sense that the land normally has ups and downs, has all kinds. It's not as straight as, it's not Swiss. It has its ins and outs, and actually it serves the rest of the land. So when I have a small pool, pond, or puddle of water in the middle of the field, as long as it's not 10 tefachim deep, it's not called a separate thing, so it's part of the land. Yeah, it's still part of the house. Not the house, it's part of the entity. And therefore it's being judged together with it, evaluated together. And what about the boulders? If they're less than 10 tefachim high, they're like the shadra, they're like the bones. They're like the bones of the land, like a white bone, yeah? In other words, those things, because, yeah, not every boulder you can start judging separately. Yeah, think of a wild kind of place. You have a boulder, a stone here, a rock, you don't start measuring each one separately. They're part of the party, the part of the land, and they're evaluated together with it, with the 50 shekels. That is Ad Kan HaKofa Aleph. You may not know what's the connection between this and the poor girl standing under the chuppah. Not such a poor girl, actually. It's a lucky girl. The lucky girl. No, she's not the 200 Zuzman. She's the one. She has higher ideas. She wants a field of 50 of a very nice field of like a 4 to 6 acres field. So now that girl is standing there, and she was told, base call, I have a base call offer. Right? On condition that I have a base call. Oh, we have to bear that in mind. Up until now, Hakofa Aleph, we saw one idea. That when it comes to Hekdesh, then when you have a hole, even 10 tefachim deep, or you have a protrusion 10 tefachim high, if they're not a boulder, if they're not a puddle, they are good, they're arable, they're all part of the same field. That's all we have to know for now. Now we're moving to another area in halacha, gabe mecher. Now we're leaving the world of Hekdesh for now. Goodbye, au revoir. And now we are looking at selling. Gabe mecher tnan. It says the following about the sale. A person tells his friend, I'm hereby selling you a base offer. I'm selling you a field with the size of that size, the size of 75,000 amas. Very nice. Lo and behold, he comes and all of a sudden he sees that there are holes there, there are pits there, 10 tefachim deep. You have slime, you have a boulder that's 10 tefachim high, tall, and they're not measured with it. Oh, less with it, they are measured with it. What does it mean? Let's say I want to sell Yosef. Yosef, I want to sell you my field. I have a base core, very nice, 5 acres, let's say. And what I want to sell you. And now all of a sudden you discover, you come and in the middle you see the whole 10 tefachim deep, a boulder. You may tell me, I'm sorry, Akiva, but that's not right. No, that's not called part of the base core. In other words, let's say you have base core, just base core, including those. You say, no, you gave me less than base core. Either give me more land or return some of the money. It's not considered to be part of the base call. When it's 10 tefachim high or 10 tefachim deep, when it comes to the sale, so selling is the opposite of Hekdesh. By Hekdesh, unless you have the business with the water and the boulders, with Hekdesh, when they have high and low, it is considered part of the Hekdesh. But if I sold my field to Yosef, then 10 tefachim deep, 10 tefachim high, even if they are arable, even if they're not with water, they're good field, still you can say no. I don't want that. You should not count that as part of the sale. Give me more straight, flat land. As I told you, even if they're not full of water, they're good, they're nice. But you don't want all of a sudden in the middle, a hole in the middle. Why not? My timer. Why is a sale different to Hekdesh? Omar of Pope. The fish of the Moitze sheet and its Moitze Basoda Achas. The Royal Kishnayim Mushloisha Mekoimos. Which means when I buy a field from you and I specified and stipulated I want a field, I don't want my field to look like 2 or 3 fields. I want to have one continuous, comfortable, convenient piece of land. I said a field. And since halacha backs me on that one, and halacha considers a place less than 10 or higher than 10 as a different place, I have the right to say, I'm sorry, mister. It's true that down there it's very nice and lush. They can go down with my plow and or with my Filipino workers and plow over there and then go up. I don't want that. When I said one field, I want one continuous, long, nice, flat field. I don't want to even looking like 2 and 3 places. I want to have one place. You buy an apartment, and you know the apartment is divided to 3 different parts. Every time you have to go out of there to go to the bathroom, to knock on someone else's door, go to the kitchen. No, I want to have one normal place, one continuous, right? And therefore, when it comes to the mechira, to a sale between regular people, as opposed to Hekdesh, Hekdesh has its own rule. Hekdesh is not under Zach, yeah? But when it comes to people, they don't want that, given that separation, that, yeah. Hochomai. Finally, we're getting to Kiddushin. Hochomai. What is the story over here? When it comes to the woman, here comes the question. Da 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 da. Let me explain the question. Sunday night, they're standing under the huppah, and under the huppah, he's telling her, and it's a condition. She spoke to him in the 15th date, and she said, Mister, with me, only base call offer, nothing less than that. And he really promised her that he has a base call offer. Yeah, that's Sunday night. Tuesday morning, Sheva Brochas, they go to the field, and she sees, to her shock and horror, she sees that really that field is a base call. He's not a liar, as opposed to everybody else in the Mishnah there. Yeah, but this guy is honest. But she sees, oh, there's protrusion over here. Oh, there's a hole over there. What's the halacha over here? Lehekdesh medaminan la. Do we compare it to Hekdesh and we say that girls not supposed to mind that there are holes, there are highs and lows, there are protrusions and holes? Maybe she doesn't care, or she's not supposed to. We don't assume in halacha that she should care, and it's all measured together. And she's not supposed to tell him, no, I want you to have another piece of flat land, and only then I'll keep the marriage. Otherwise, I'm retroactively canceling. Do we say that? Or maybe we compare it to a sale. By sale, enim dodin. A sale, she has the right to say, no, I meant one flat thing. What's the halacha? Do we compare Kiddushin to Mechira or to Hekdesh? On one hand, she didn't, yeah. Beautiful. On one end, you say Mekadesh is like Hekdesh. On the other end, Kiddushin is like a sale. Because koine, very good. Do you compare it more to Hekdesh, or do you compare it more to Kinyan? It's a business. It's a business. I would say more like business. You can't do both. No. Either they're no. Either they're part of the land or they're not. No. You can't have both here. It's a cruel game. Again, let me be very, very clear over here. She saw that he has a base call. Punkt base call, and then she looks closer. She's a discerning girl. She's not stupid. And she sees the what 10 tefachim deep. Oh, I see you have a hole in the middle. Oh, you have a big good hole where you can plow inside, and you can grow good stuff there. You have a mound. Well, I know my uncle Jimmy told me when it comes to mechira, that's not called part of the field. So I want you to have more on the outside. I want you to have a base call, more flat land, or maybe it's not Kiddushin. It's not Kiddushin. Or maybe she has no right to say that just like by Hekdesh. And therefore then it's a done deal. And no, What's in her mind? That's a question. Let me just be more to explain better the question. Me'ikar din Hekdesh is right, meaning when you don't look at people's mind, when you look at the objective truth is that this is all good. Yeah, it can be looked at as part of the same field, even with the 10th tefachim. People who buy from each other, they want to have the comfort of being able to work the entire field in one flat, one long shot. But the etzim, it is all good. It is all part of the same field. Who cares that 10 tefachim are 10 tefachim long? That's how fields are. So do we go by her by the objective truth, or can she have the same taina of a buyer who wants to have it all in one flat land? Mind you, before feminism, she's not the one who's supposed to work that field. He would, or his workers. She's going to sit at home and cook stories for the children. Yeah, and bake bedtime. Yeah, the Seder. Here. So that's a question. And it's true, because yes. Oh, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe not. But when I said you a field and we're both men doing business, and I am also honest to have a base school, and yet you may claim to him and say, no, Kiv, that wasn't right. You have a base school, but it's not comfortable to work. That's the question. Appreciate that there are two sides here. That's her price. I'm a valuable girl. I'm a graduate of Bes Yaakov and Harvard together. I'm a daughter of Rosh Hashiva and professor and a Rebbe Hasidish. I'm worth billions. I'm valuable, a good base call, which is nice and flat. She's selling herself issues. Answers the Gemara. Bekitzer, I think we have the pshat here. Answers the Gemara. Mistaba lehekdesh medaminan la. Baba. Fair decision came. Lehekdesh medaminan la. Makes more sense to compare the woman to Hekdesh, meaning she has no claim, and even though it's not so convenient to work in and out, yeah, up and down, it's still considered a good base score by the objective truth. Why? The Omar law, because he can tell her and will back him. He can tell her, "Ano tarachno v'zarano meisina." Listen, girl, you're not going to work there, right? You're not a peasant. You're a regular woman. Okay, and therefore I have the headache of tarachna. I'll be toreach. I'll go into the hassle. I'll exert myself. I will go down, be zoreach. I will be the one that has to every time have the hassle of going down, 10 tefachim down, and start zoreach, like the Filipino whatever rice thing. Every time I'll go up the mound and do over there, the meitina, and I'll bring you the produce. End of the story. I bring the bread. I bring the wheat. I bring the bread, and you make it, as they say. And therefore, it shouldn't be your business. At the end of the day, the fact that it's high and low, that's my business. If it's my business, that's not supposed to worry you. You're concerned about the amount is there. I didn't lie to you. I have an amount to 50 core. Punkt 50, not 50. I meant to say base score. Sorry. I have an amount to base score. 100 over 75,000, not 1 millimeter less. And it produces amazing, beautiful golden wheat and barley, the kusumin, the chameshes mini dogon. All very nice. The fact that it's not such a great field because it has, excuse the pun, it has its ups and downs. Yeah, that's my worry. That's my worry. And therefore, lady, although you are selling me your issues in return of the field, you're not like a regular buyer. Why? A regular buyer, if I sell you the field, Ellen, and you're going to work the field yourself, or your workers, your son, your grandson, should be peace very soon. You'll be out of the army and you'll be working in the field. Yeah, learning Torah. And then what? All of you will be working. And then that's not fair, Akiva. I bought the field. I want to work. I'm going to work there. I'll have the headache. Yeah, you from the buyer side. And you say, why did you sell me a field that has ups and downs? I want it all flat. Here it's the other way around. She is what? She is selling herself, right, to him in return of him having a field and him working. That's my headache, not yours. I'm okay with that. It's my field. I'm used to it. I promise you, I work very well. I'll go up, I'll go down, I'll take off my shirt for you, I'll do everything you want. For you, I'll do it. No problem. The Seder, and therefore she has no claim. Therefore, it's like Hekdesh, and as long as the amount is there, the area, the space, the area of base kol is there, she has nothing to say, and it's a good Kiddushin. Prince Abela is finally she's getting married. Yeah. Again, she's getting married. She's making a lot of money. Those Kiddushin on the zoos, fields. I'll edit online. Let me avoid confusion here. There are two separate issues here in the sugya. Don't confuse them. One topic is in the fact that Hekdesh Xeras HaKosov, that Hekdesh is always, in the eyes of Hekdesh, a field of base coal is always worth 50, right? While when we talk about business, Lav Dafka, the field may be worth 10 or 100 or million. That's one issue. The other issue is, do we or don't we consider areas low or high, higher than 10 or lower than 10, are they part of the field? Are they part of the sale? Yes or no? Are they part of a Hekdesh? Are they looked globally as part of one field of Hekdesh? Are they looked globally as part of the field that you sell and buy? And is that called part of the same field, the base call of a woman who's miskadeshes with that condition? That has nothing to do with 50 shekels or 20 shekels. That's a separate story. When it comes to Hekdesh, even if there was no such a cost of Hekdesh, by the way, happens to be that there is. It's a conceptual question. Do we say that those holes and those highs, those mounds, are they part of the field? When I utter the words base call, right? Let's say by a sale. Is it part of the sale? Yes or no? By sale, we say no. By sale, no. By sale, they're not. And by Hekdesh, yes. By Hekdesh, they are part. That's all. Now with the woman comes a third question. When she heard the word base call, and she said, oh yeah, base call, that's exciting. What did she mean? Did she mean I want base call all flat, all together, or within 9, but 10 high, 10 low? No, I don't view that as part of your base call. And the Kiddushin is not a Kiddushin unless or more land. 1 second. Or do we say no? Or do we say it is included? Says the Gemara, it is included because for her it should make a difference. Because really, but the objective truth, really, it's all one part of one big field. When a guy is asking his friend, even if she was a woman agricultural, she was a woman farmer, a farmer woman, there are such people, then I would accept. She says, I am doing this, get me a field. I want a field to work in, then she'd be right. Then she would say, hey, I don't want 10 high, 10 low, it's not convenient. Drives me crazy. She'd be right. But if all she cares about him working there, she wants to have a rich husband and he will work and he will employ people there. What do you care, lady? What do you care if it's high or low? It's none of your business. And therefore, it's all part of the base code and the condition was fulfilled. Right. Well, 10 more minutes for the next Mishnah. Says the Mishnah. Okay, now this Mishnah is a very, very central Mishnah, which applies in many, many places in Shas. We have to see Rashi inside. However much we'll see today, we'll see. If not, we'll see some tomorrow. Basically, before we read the Mishnah, and tomorrow, listen, tomorrow, homework, not homework, preparation for tomorrow. Whoever comes first, except for Yitzchak, because Yitzchak brings me the tea already, bring your chumashim tomorrow, okay? Bring your chumash from home or from the shelf over here, okay? When we come tomorrow, we have to have that chumashim. Yeah, that is the psukim over there in Chumash Bamidbar Lamed Beis. Yeah, in Bamidbar. Yeah. If you remember, before we start the Mishnah, this is the Mishnah's intro. We're going to get very, very technical into the words, into the psukim. What was the story of Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven? And later on, they were joined by Chatzi Shevet Menashe. They came not yet to Eretz Yisrael. They came to today is known as Jordan, which back then I'm sure was a nice place, nicer than today, I imagine. Yeah. And there was a very, very lush field, lush area with many good, nice fields that were perfect for as a grazing area, as meadow, grazing area for their mikneh, for their sheep. They had a lot of sheep, a lot of goats, and for them that was a perfect place. And Bnei Gad, Bnei Reuven, and that part of the land also had Kedusha. Yeah, also had Kedusha. Bnei Israel conquered it. Moshe Rabbeinu conquered it from Sichon, from Oig Melech HaBashan, right? Those places, it's more like I think northern Jordan. What? Yeah, right. Nice and slow. Now they wanted to go and they wanted to stay there. They wanted to stay there and build their homes there. And they said everybody else should go in. Rabbi Moshe Rabbeinu got very upset with them. Moshe Rabbeinu said, no, wait, you are, basically demoralizing everybody else over here. And he made with them a condition. And as you said very correctly, very true, what you said, Yaakov, from the way Moshe spoke to the Bnei Gad, Bnei Reuven people, we'll learn all the halachas of how conditions work in halacha. In general, in very, very general terms, what did he tell them? You cannot stay here, drinking your tea and your coffee and just enjoying your nice grazing area. Well, they already fought for that land. They already won it, right? Your friends are going to Eretz Israel to fight against 7 nations, 31 Melochim, oi, 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 and you're not going to sit back here not fighting. And therefore, he made a condition. If you come into Eretz Israel and you're going to what? Fight with everybody else, then you will get your part in Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven, in Ever Yarden. But if you don't fight, if you stay here and you don't fight, then what? Here comes a huge question. Then you won't get this part. The question is, what would happen? That's exactly the question. I'm not even saying it because here we just threw a bomb. Yes, there's a variable here. Ever learned math in high school? Imagine even I did. Yeah. Basically, there's an X as a variable. If you fight and you come to Eretz Yisrael to fight, you'll get your part in Transjordan. It's called Transjordan today, right? If then, but if you don't fight, then something else will happen. Then you won't get it. The question is what would happen, but if you don't fight with them, you will not get this nice part, that lush area over here. Okay, that's very general, in very general terms, this story. Now let's read nice and slow the Mishnah and Rashi, and we'll continue tomorrow, Mirz Hashem. Says the Mishnah, Rabbi Meir Omer, says Rabbi Meir, Kol Tanai Sheno Ketnai Bnei Gad Ubnei Reuven Eino Tanai. Says Rabbi Meir like this, any Tanai that you make with your friend over money, over business deals, whatever, yeah, maybe even Kiddushin, although Sheno Ketnai Bnei Gad Ubnei Reuven, if your Tanai, excuse the pun, doesn't follow the conditions, yeah, the characteristics of Bnei Gad Bnei Reuven, the conditions that Moshe, you hear what I'm saying? Moshe made with Bnei Gad Bnei Reuven ain't no Tanai, right? In other words, the Torah is giving us the rules how a condition should work. In other words, sometimes if you make the wrong condition, the deal will go through without the condition. That's what we say. Yeah, unless you have to know how to, like by Havdil, a lawyer, you have to know very, very well how to phrase a contract, right? Otherwise, you can fall, work contract or things like that. Or yeah, you have to know how to phrase a contract halachically, your conditions, the same as Moshe Rabbeinu. He's giving us the parameters. Because if you don't, you'll fail. The deal may go through without your conditions and you lose. Okay, well, how do you know? Shenema, it says over here, the Yomi alehem im yavu bnei Gad bnei Reuven. If bnei Gad bnei Reuven will cross, then they'll get the land. The ksiv, and then it says v'im lo yavu chalutzim ... And if they will not yavu chalutzim, if they will not cross the Jordan as chalutzim, as the first ones, they were strong. They ruled bnei Gad especially. They were what? Pioneers, leaders. If you don't come as the pioneering leaders, then what? Then the condition will not be fulfilled. So that's, excuse the pun again, condition number one. At 9 halacha, you have to say if yes, yes, if no, no. That's the main idea of Rabbi Meir. Yeah, you can't say, although logic would say otherwise, if you say, I will sell you this blue marker, I will sell it to you on condition, if you, whatever, if you jump 3 times, I'll sell you this blue marker. Well, needless to say, that if you don't jump 3 times, that I don't sell you the blue marker. True, yes, but no. There's Gzeres HaKosuv that when it comes to halacha, you have to mention both if yes, yes, and the other side, the negative if no, no, as Moshe Rabbeinu did. I'm not even going to the details. Right. In other words, we do not say Michlal Hein Ata Shomei Alav. We don't say what logically I would say, I agree, but halacha says otherwise. We don't automatically derive the negative from the positive, and you have to specify both. If jump 3 times, yes, blue color, no jumping, no blue. You have to be specific and very, very clear on both sides. Otherwise, the condition doesn't go. We do not say Michlal Hein Ata Shomei Alav from yes, you hear no. That's Rabbi Meir's very general idea. This for sure we'll see Rashi. Many times a threat we'll see Rashi and then we don't. But this we will see probably tomorrow. Continues the Mishnah with an argument. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel oimer, tzarich hadavar leoimoy. Says Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, no, that's not true. You're telling me, why did the Torah repeat? Rabbi Meir's idea was, let me explain the resistance of Rabbi Gamliel. I should have explained it before. What the Torah, we all know the Torah is very miserly with words, right? Why did Moshe Rabbeinu have to say, if you cross, then you will get your nice piece of land. And if you don't cross, then you will not get your nice piece of land. Elamai, again, the Pashup shot, I was vague on purpose before. Now I'll get a little bit clearer. It sounds from the psukim that if you fight Golani, Givati, Duvdevan, you fight seriously, then what? You'll get your part back then after 14 years, right? 14 years, go back to your families, all will be good. You'll get the best piece over there, better than me parts of Eretz Israel. If you don't fight, then you'll get like everybody else in Eretz Israel. You'll get inside Eretz Israel. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu have to specify if yes, yes, if no, no? The Torah is very miserly, and Moshe Rabbeinu was Moshe Rabbeinu, but Gad Bnei Reuven were not stupid either. They're not, right? And therefore, why did they have to say twice? Says Rabbi Meir, you know why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching us, you and I, in 2024, when we make a contract over a house, over Kiddushin, over work agreement, Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching us halacha, gzeros hakasuv, that whenever you make a condition, you have to be the yes, yes, and the no, no. That just because otherwise it would be redundant. Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu is being redundant on purpose to teach us what are the halachot of Tanoim. That's what Rabbi Meir believes. Oh, now we're ready for Rabbi Chanina's big blow. Oh, Rabbi Chanin ben Gamliel, no. Rabbi Chanin ben Gamliel argues, not true. Moshe had to say it. You are wrong in your basic premise. It's not that Moshe Rabbeinu was being extra verbose and redundant. He had to say the if, no, no. You know why? Shilmole ken, if not for him specifying the if, no side, yesh b'mashma shafilu be'eretz Knan lo inchalu. I would have thought that even in Eretz Yisrael they would not get. Wow, gee. Says Rabbi Chanan ben Gamliel, to cut it in to cut down to the chase, there are three options. Oh, when I have two options, if you jump, you get the blue collar. Well, if you don't jump, you don't. But let's say there are two colors that the child wants. Yeah, blue and green. And I say, if you tidy your room, you get the blue collar. That's so clear. And if not, nothing. The green collar he wants less. Maybe if he doesn't do, he'll get the green collar, right? Maybe half of the blue. It's not so clear, right? When there are many options on the table, then of course every Tim McKenzie knows you have to be specific. There are two colors you want, this more and this less. If you tidy your room, you get the blue one, and if you don't, then you don't get the blue one, but yes, the green one, or whatever. You have to be more specific already. Says there, Gamliel, there was a third option. Moshe Rabbeinu had to tell them, if you fight nicely, like good soldiers, you get what? Your parts in Transjordan. If you don't fight, you will get your part in Eretz Yisrael. But that's a Hekdesh. It's not being verbose. Otherwise, they would have thought they would have gotten nowhere. What do you mean? Nobody would throw them to the sea. Not Palestinians. I would say let them not have their own land. They would be scattered amongst other people, like the Levim. They don't get their own nice autonomy, their own place, their own because of that, says Rabbi Gamliel, you have to tell me the two options. But when I really have a one-side deal, if you give me so and so, I'll give you the blue one. I don't have to say if not, I don't give the blue one. It's clear. In other words, the logic of Rabbi Chanin and Gamliel is the logic that we would have. If yes, yes, automatically no, no. You know, over there Moshe was verbose not to teach us any halacha, no, because there were three options: Ever Yarden, Eretz Yisrael, or nothing. So out of three options, of course, he has to specify two. If yes, you get Ever Yarden. If not, you get Eretz Yisrael. To exclude from the third option of nowhere. That's the Mishnah in a nutshell. We will see Rashi tomorrow. This time it's not an empty threat, an empty promise. Tomorrow we're starting with the Rashi on the Mishnah. We'll quickly read the Mishnah. Hashem. Remember, please bring your Chumash. I highly recommend you bring your Chumash from home or from the shelf over there. Please remember Chumash, to bring from, and we're going to read from the end dish of Chumash Bamidbar. And we shall all have a great day. Atzlacha, Shalom, Uvracha. The world should have a lot of peace. No more wars, only Shalom al Israel. And everybody should be b'menucha b'nachas, welcoming Mashiach. Atzlacha to everybody on YouTube and Torah anytime. Yes, I'm listening.